This is a vulnerable video. One of the biggest reasons I wanted to go on a healing journey and understand myself and understand my emotions is because I felt like crap for many years, almost all the time. And I was very good at hiding it. I was very good at pretending like I was fine. And I feel like on some level I wanted to convince myself that I was, but I also couldn't lie to myself always. I started noticing how bad I felt no matter what I was doing. It often felt like no matter how hard I tried to escape from feeling bad, I couldn't do it. And the bad feeling kept amplifying. It kept getting more and more intense. The more I tried to escape from it, the more it grew within me. There's this one memory I have when I was in university and I was with two of my girlfriends in a car and I was in the back seat. And I remember having this out of body experience where I was watching them talking and laughing and joking and having this banter together. And I remember feeling so uncomfortable and so awkward and so lonely. I remember feeling like even though I am in a car with them and they're very nice to me and we're friends, I'm not really one of them. I often use poetry and journaling to help me understand my own feelings, and I deeply recommend that because writing slows down our thinking and it helps us with clarity. And I remember that day I wrote this little poem where I was saying something along the lines of, I can feel in my heart that they don't even love me as much as I love them. And I wonder if I wasn't here, would they even notice? I remember feeling so lonely, so lonely, even though I was surrounded by friends and I was rarely ever alone, which I think was a part of it because I was distracting myself from everything I felt so that I don't really sit with the loneliness. That memory is at least 5 or 6 years old. No, wait, I'm 31. When did I graduate university? 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. This memory is at least a decade old, by the way. So here's the good news. In the last decade, I have done so much inner work and healing work and awareness work so that I can understand why I felt that way and so that I could help myself not feel that anymore. And here's what I've learned so far. The first thing I learned is that I was pretending to be someone I'm not because I didn't really know who I was. For the majority of my life, I was such a people pleaser and I was always prioritizing what I thought other people thought of me. I prioritized how people received me and what people needed from me. And it took years for me to understand that that is not pleasing anyone. That is a self-protective mechanism that helps me feel like if that person is happy with me, I'm safe, they want me around. And I've learned that that's not true. In fact, people pleasing is so toxic and it's so harmful for me and anyone I was pleasing. And so with my friends, I was always wanting to be whatever they wanted in a friend, or whatever I believed they wanted in a friend. I would go along with things that I might not really like or want just because I wanted to be accepted. And that's totally normal psychologically because we are social creatures. We need to feel like we're part of the group. But we also get to start differentiating when we're doing it in a healthy way and when we're doing it in an unhealthy way. The second thing I discovered about myself is through pretending to be someone I'm not, I was suppressing all my feelings. I was suppressing when I felt angry or when I felt frustrated or when I didn't like something. I was pushing all my emotions down so that I can pretend to be whatever I thought they needed me to be. I should be happy. I should go along with things. I should be easygoing. And when I would feel uncomfortable or negative feelings, I would push them away so quickly and be like, no, I'm fine. Everything's great. When in reality, to build a proper friendship with someone, you need intimacy. And intimacy requires vulnerability. And vulnerability means I can be brave enough to share how I'm feeling, even though it's scary. Even though I don't know how the person will react, I still trust that I can say my truth and I'll be there for myself. And I'll ask for support and hope for the best. And with time and practice, I feel like I got better at knowing who to ask support from and when and how. There is an art form to having relationships. The third thing I discovered about myself is I would rather have anyone around me than sit with the loneliness. And so I was choosing the wrong people for me often just because it distracted me from the loneliness. And the more I started healing, the more I started choosing and picking the right people, people that I like, people that I respect, people who have values that are similar to mine. The fourth thing I needed to learn is who I really am, because through pretending to be someone I'm not, I didn't actually know who Remy really was. And I didn't know my values and I didn't know my boundaries. And on this self discovery and healing journey, I started understanding who I am at my core, which leads me to the fifth point is I realized that my relationship with myself was so unhealthy because of all the other things. And so my self talk was often negative and very toxic. I was bullying myself. I was talking to myself like I was talking to my worst enemy. One of the things that I needed to work on viscerally was my relationship with myself. Can I be there for myself? Can I trust myself? Can I follow through when I say I'm going to do something? And the secret is that this is something that needs so much time and consistency to build because it's a genuine bond between me and me. And so it started small. I started committing to whatever I said I would do. If I said I would go for a walk, I would go for a walk. If I said that I would eat something specific, I would do that. If I said I would get up at a specific time, I would do that. I essentially started investing so much energy in showing Remy that I can trust Remy. Because I had a history of people pleasing, a big part of that was self-abandonment. Every time I felt something that I thought was not okay to feel or show, I would abandon myself and how I felt in order to be whatever I thought people wanted me to be. And so that was a consistent form of self-abandonment and self-betrayal, which is why people pleasing is toxic. So one of the things that needed to happen is I needed to start getting really close with Remy. And that included some really hard feelings that I needed to sit with. And the sixth thing I had to learn on this journey, or I got to learn on this journey, is how to really sit with my feelings. And this is something most people don't really get into. They say, oh, you should sit with your feelings. Okay, what does that mean? Sitting with feelings means I am not going to distract myself when a feeling comes up. In fact, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to sit with the feeling quite literally and actually feel it in my body. I noticed that for me, a lot of my sadness and discomfort, I feel in my throat. I feel like it's choked up and I feel like I'm gonna cry. And so I started really sitting with that feeling and breathing into it. And I imagined the feeling. Instead of me wanting to push it away, I imagine it taking up more space. And sitting with feelings can be really uncomfortable and hard, and that's okay. It's part of the journey. Because I haven't felt so many feelings for so long, a lot of them were starting to come up in a more intense way. Now, when I need to sit with my feelings, they don't feel as scary or as intense. There are moments, because I'm human, where my feelings feel bigger than my body. But now I at least know that there is a process and that feelings are temporary. Feelings are messengers. There's something that I need to understand from why this feeling is here. And this is why sitting with the feeling is important. Essentially, I notice where it is in my body, and then I put my focus on it, and I keep saying to myself, that this feeling is welcome. I don't need to change it. I don't need to fix it. And then I try my best to tap into my curiosity. Why is this feeling here? What is it trying to tell me? And I'll be fully honest with you. Sometimes we need someone professional to help us with our feelings, like a therapist or a coach or a practitioner. Because if I haven't felt my feelings for so many years, they can feel really scary and intense and sometimes overwhelming. This is where someone professional is so important because the role they play is in creating a capacity and a space for us to be witnessed and held and seen while we go through the emotions that are within us. And I do believe there's a deeper conversation to be had about why we learn how to become people pleasers and where that comes from. But I'll leave that for another day. If you feel like you are lonely even when you're around people, there's nothing wrong with you. If anything, this might be your invitation to create a deeper awareness of yourself and your relationships so that you start showing up in a way that actually makes you feel good. Take it from an ex people pleaser, it gets so much better. And relationships start to feel so fulfilling. It does take patience and persistence, and sometimes it takes support. But the way I always viewed it is time is passing by anyway. Am I investing my energy and my time into things that are serving me, or am I avoiding who I am, which will keep me stuck in a loop? If I were starting the journey from zero, the first thing I would do is I would start writing. I would start writing how I felt and where I felt it and why I felt it. And I would start developing my self awareness muscle so that I understand what I am experiencing. Because until we acknowledge, accept, and understand where we are right now, we can't get to where we want to be. I hope you found this helpful and I appreciate you tuning in, and I'll see you next week.